But going back to the introduction, I love that I met Ginger, and I know that she has a lot to share because in this season of Hustle and Bustle, we want to have resources and techniques that we truly can slow down the pace, get from our crazy, stressed, sympathetic to parasympathetic, where we really get calm, relaxed, slow down, and we can, really restore, I think, rejuvenate, recalibrate, all the R's. I think of, restorative comes to mind. And I'm excited. I know Ginger has a ton of experience, and I can't wait to hear what she has to share tonight. So I'm going to pass it on to you, Ginger. So go ahead, and you can also share more of your introductions and who you are, and welcome.
Thank you. I am excited to be here. This is a subject that is close to my heart because I struggled with regulating my nervous system literally for decades. So I think from just family of origin and my marriage of just some toxicity and verbal, emotional abuse, spiritual abuse tends to dysregulate our nervous systems. And so I feel like from my failures and from all of my struggles, I can speak to this subject today. So I'm excited to talk to you guys about this. For tonight, the purpose of this is for, getting us through the holiday season, the Christmas and New Year's, but we can also always use all of this as a tool for our lifestyles, for our daily lives. For tonight, I'm just really hitting just the main points. But if you ever want to really take a deep dive into regulating your nervous systems, I would invite a conversation with you personally through like a free consultation or one-on-one coaching with me. But so what I would like to do here, we're going to let Kristen Beatty in here. All right, so I want to touch on, first of all, like this is Christmas week. Everyone is busy and frazzled and can be, and families coming to town, and we're not sleeping and all the things. So this is kind of what I call a triage moments, that I just want to hit some really powerful things that can really set the stage for a good Christmas holiday for you, and how you can show up for yourself and for your families. So the first thing that comes to my mind is what kind of spurs on that nervous system is caffeine. So sometimes people will tell me, Ginger, there is no way I can go without my coffee or my Diet Coke or whatever it is. But it is one thing that I would encourage, to not have as much caffeine if at all possible. Then the next thing is, and we hear about this all the time, is working out. Even if it's just 7 minutes of getting that heart rate up. And specifically what I want to talk about tonight is crossing the midline. So the first thing that comes to my mind for crossing the midline is like taking like a medicine ball or something heavy-ish, sit on the floor and do what we call those Russian twists. Anytime that we are crossing the midline, we're inviting our prefrontal cortex to wake up and to take the front seat. Otherwise, when our nervous systems are kind of dysregulated, it's that amygdala, or we call our primal brain, that's running the show and can show up as really anxiety and a lot of stress. So to be able to let go of stress, we want to concentrate on activities and things that will cross the midline to invite that prefrontal cortex to really get engaged. So there again, it's those Russian twists. The next thing I would say is, I'm going to step back here a little bit, is what I call an infinite 8. And there again, that's crossing the midline. And what we want to do when we're emotionally kind of revved and that nervous system is dysregulated a bit, is we want to slow everything down. We want to cause a disruptor. So the disruptor would be changing the tempo. So when you are doing an infinite 8 in the air, just like this, I'm crossing the midline. I'm making it bigger is better. We want to go as slow as possible. And you will feel in your body that resistance because we're a little bit revved, we're dysregulated. We want to go faster. But we want to invite again that prefrontal cortex into this scenario, and we want to go as slow as we can, because we want to become pretty much the manager, the CEO, the supervisor of that prefrontal cortex, inviting that into the scenario so that that primal brain is not running the show. The next thing I want to talk about is called proprioceptive pressure. Proprioceptive pressure is amazingly powerful. What that is, so sensory occupational therapists use this many times. And what it is you squeeze just right above your wrist. So if you're on and you're listening, I want you to participate here. We're calling for participation. I want you to squeeze right above the wrist. There again, we're kind of inviting that prefrontal cortex into the equation here, slowing it down. So just real intentional on that squeeze, slowly release it, and then come back, kind of sneak up right below that elbow, squeeze again. And we're just slowly kind of just release that above the elbow, squeeze, and then above, just below that shoulder, and squeeze. We always want to do this towards the heart. So there again, come down right above that wrist, squeeze. This proprioceptive pressure is big time regulating that nervous system. So we'll do this just for another minute or two. But what I have my clients do is I tell them, try this for 10 minutes. It'll feel like a long time to do this, but 10 minutes.
And Ginger, do you alternate arms, or do you want to do 10 minutes on one side, or what would you suggest?
Yes, good question. Yes, absolutely. Do it 2 or 3 times on one arm, switch. And just be mindful and aware of your timing. First of all, we want to go slow. We're slowing down our brain, being aware of how that body wants to resist it a bit, but it's time to take over. It's time for that prefrontal cortex to run the show. And this helps so much. So I would encourage clients to do this for 10 minutes. Do it as often as you can this week. When you get up in the morning, that sets the stage in many ways, first thing in the morning. Before you go to bed at night, we're not supposed to have that screen time. We're wanting to get that good sleep this week, as much sleep as we can. We're busy, that kind of thing. But to have this proprioceptive pressure right before you go to bed at night, even with your kids, if you have a child that's stressed out, if you have a spouse that's stressed out, if your spouse is stressed out, guess who's going to be stressed out too? We are, or our kids. It's kind of that domino effect. So encouraging that in your home this week. Then the next, we want to talk about breath work. So the first one that I would want to talk about is called box breathing. We want to, again, disrupt the body and have that breath be slow. And how we slow that down is, so we inhale for 5 counts, hold for 3, and then exhale for 7. If that's easy for you, then just change the numbers to maybe 7 counts for inhale, 9 for exhale. So let's try that together. Calling for participation here. Okay, so inhale for 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold 2, 3. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold, 2, 3. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold, 2, 3. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you tell a difference? We didn't do that very long. Could you tell a difference at all?
Yeah, it's hard. I kind of run out of breath. And that was my question. Like, do you try to breathe from your diaphragm? Do you breathe from your chest? Does it make a difference? Is it something that you want to have more of that diaphragmatic breathing? Or what would you say?
Yes, such a good question. And yes, we always want that lower breath, that lower, placing it, our lungs are here, right? But we're placing that breath down below those ribs. Yep. And taking that low, letting that exhale, or when we inhale, letting the front and the back ribs flex out, and then hold, and then exhale, letting that stomach meet our backbone while we keep our posture nice and open. We want that chest and open ribs always nice and open, letting that exhale coming, that stomach meeting your backbone. And then when we inhale, you already have your posture and you've got room to take that in, that good breath slowly, and then hold. Yeah, good question on that. The next one, the next breath work is incredibly effective. And it's a little uncomfortable, just like Christine was saying. It's like she was kind of running out of breath. And that's good. We want to kind of add a little bit of that kind of stress on our bodies, because there again, it's regulating that nervous system and we're controlling it. And that prefrontal cortex is coming to the front seat. The next one is called endogenous respiration. And what this does is, usually when we go swimming, we're going to hold our breath on the inhale, right? We inhale and dive under the water. For endogenous respiration, we hold our breath on the exhale. So we take a normal breath, inhale, and then we exhale. Then we hold our breath on the exhale. What that does is that fills our bloodstream full of carbon dioxide and allows that brain to really hyper focus and really come back to center in an amazing, amazing way. So with my clients, I have them do this. I ask them to do this 3 minutes at a time. Hold your breath as long as you can. Many people can hold it up to 20 seconds, 40 seconds. One of my star clients can hold her breath on the exhale for 2 minutes. University of Georgia senior student. Yeah, she's incredible. But it's amazing how it forces the opportunity for that heart rate to slow down. Because that's what we want. We want that heart rate at a resting heart rate, filling that bloodstream full of carbon dioxide, allowing that brain to really think well and to just relax our bodies. So that is called endogenous respiration.
And you're saying that you do that for 3 minutes, right? Or at least put the clock on for 3 minutes and try to do it a couple of times, how many times you can.
Yes. In between, if you're really pushing it, and I'm glad you asked that question. I always have my clients be sitting down because you don't want to get, lightheaded with that.
Yeah.
Great question. So the next thing is ice. I don't know if anyone's heard of Wim Hof, but he's Mr. Iceman. They call him Iceman. A cold shower will really regulate your nervous system. Is that comfortable? No. But a cold shower is a great way to just really snap out of it, to distress the body, stress it in a way that really causes it and gives it the opportunity to regulate that nervous system. So a cold shower. If you cannot do or not up for signing up for a cold shower, grab a big bowl of ice and put your hand in the big bowl of ice and hold it there as long as you can. Then take a break. Maybe put the other hand in ice. Ice itself is a big contributor and a help to regulate our nervous systems. Then the next thing that I want to talk to you about is a few supplements that really help me. So I literally had a dysregulated system. My muscle for that for decades was really strong. So it took a lot of work on my part to learn to stretch this muscle to regulate my nervous system. So the first thing that I would recommend, it's all natural. I do it all without medication. Some people may need medication, and I would recommend you talking to your doctor about that. But this is called lithium orotate. You just get it from your local health food store. For Colorado, it'd be Natural Grocers. I get this at Vitamin Cottage or Sprouts. Whole Foods, I'm sure, has it. But lithium orotate really relaxes and brings down and really just supports that nervous system. The other one is anything, this one's called Stress Decompress. And it's by Host Defense. And it's reishi mushrooms, lion's mane, skullcap, lemon balm, and ashwagandha. So mushrooms that really promote calm and tranquility. This really helps. Then the next thing that we want to do, I mentioned that, the proprioceptive pressure, but we really want it to help us get to sleep. What if we still can't shut off our brains? A natural, I think this has lavender and chamomile in it. It's a natural way to kind of just help us fall asleep. It's called Deep Sleep by Herbal Medicine. And this stuff works so well for my teenagers that cannot shut off their brains. They're stressed out about school, whatever it is, to take natural things like this too. And I know Christine has several things too through her Shackley business that really help support our bodies as we're trying to be calm and regulate our nervous systems as well. Is there anything, Christine, you'd want to talk about with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's so cool. I love that it's very similar ingredients, but I have a stress relief complex that blunts the cortisol, because you're right. I've learned even from my own body, when we stress, like, it depletes my B vitamins. And then that's when my body's like, I need sugar. I need a quick fix. I need a carb fix. And so I can tell when I think back in the day, kind of where Jenny's at, when my kids were little and had all the spinning plates and I had no time for mommy care. I realized that my body just needed good, healthy B vitamins. So I remember taking a B complex, and then the stress release was really helpful. And then a Dream Serene, very similar, just helping go to sleep. And I have one with melatonin, one without melatonin, knowing that some people's bodies might have more psychedelic dreams with melatonin. I don't know. Some people everyone's a little bit different, but I think you're right. I love the natural approach, just that there's no side effects. It's healthy, it's safe. My kids and teens can take it too. And that's super important. So yeah. I know Kristen's got a couple of teens, and it makes a difference of just what we get our kids that's safe, and we know it's okay for them.
And what a great thing for us as parents to have the opportunity to teach our kids how to regulate their own nervous systems and emotional in healthy ways, right? And that'll carry them on to the rest of their lives, that they'll have that knowledge and skills to be able to do that, because it impacts relationships. If our nervous systems are out of whack, and we're especially thinking about Christmas, week and New Year's and all of that, to be able to show up as moms and women that are solid, that are rock solid for ourselves and for our families. So it's so important. So then
I do have. Can I ask you one more question? When you were doing the figure eight, is that something that you're doing with your hand? Because I didn't want to interrupt you then, but when you said the crossing the midline and doing it slow and big, is that meant just with your hand sitting down, standing up? Does it matter, or what would
Oh,
you say?
great question. I probably didn't make that clear. Yes, with your finger, or if you want to do a fist, does that feel right? Whatever feels right. I always do with my finger, but yes, always tracing it straight out, and slower is better, bigger is better. Yeah, with my finger. Yes. And standing up gives that extra load. We're always wanting to load the brain, because if we load the brain, we're distracting it from everything that we're stressed out about. So we want to load it. Like sometimes I'll even stand on a batsu ball, or anything, one leg. If you I have my clients stand on one leg and do this when they're really, even a client that I sat right there with when she was having a panic attack, and she was having panic attack, and we just do some of these things, stand on one leg, and do this infinite 8. Then the brain habituates pretty quickly. And so I'll say, okay, switch to the other leg. Then I'd say, raise your arm while you're doing it. Different ways of loading the brain really helps that body to fall back into center and calm down, because we've invited some academics with that. And then that prefrontal cortex comes to the front. Yeah.
Super helpful. Thank you.
Good question. So then the other part is our spiritual part, right? To help invite the spiritual aspect of ourselves, so that that can help us regulate our nervous system. The first thing is, people talk about meditation, and meditation is different for everyone. And whatever we believe in that space, to do, whatever works for us, whether it be that journaling, meditation type music, and that kind of thing. For some of us, it would be reading scriptures or different poems or things, affirmations, whatever that would be. And again, the first thing in the morning is what sets the stage for the day. And sometimes it's hard for us as women to not just spring out of bed, get right to it, and taking care of our families. But really, when we take care of ourselves, we are taking care of our families. I mean, it kind of reminds me of, when we get on the plane and they say to put on your oxygen mask first, before you help the person next to you. That is what we need to do. And I'm so guilty of not doing that. It's hard for me to not just get out of bed and start working right away. But if we take care of our spiritual inner self and do the inner work of meditation, of reading, a lot of times I'll have index cards and I'll write either a scripture or a quote that really grounds me. And we'll continue to look at it throughout the day, because it's not enough for me to look at it just in the morning or have it on my bathroom mirror. People that know me know that I always have index cards with me in my purse, or when I'm playing the piano or whatever, I always have them with me. So that then also, what was I going to say? Gratitude. Gratitude is the highest frequency for our bodies. Like when we are in gratitude, it really sets the stage for calmness and for perspective, all the things that we're grateful for. So I don't know if you've heard of the 5-Minute Journal. The 5-Minute Journal is an amazing book to buy on Amazon. I would recommend it all day long. But you say 3 things that you write down 3 things that you are thankful for in the morning. And just that activity of writing, not just thinking it, but writing it, that kinesthetic piece of that really helps the brain to really, it hits home more when we write it down. And then have some goals for the day. And then at the end of the day, to revisit that same page and say, hey, what are some other things? What went well today? What could I have done better today? And what again, circling around gratitude, what am I thankful for? And that really helps. Let's see. As far as, and these are all good. These are great for this week and for the next 2 weeks when everybody's families are in town, husbands are home, spouses are home, whatever that all looks like. this is good. And I wouldn't call it a Band-Aid, but it kind of is a Band-Aid from a life coaching point of view, because really our stress, our anxiety, our fear, all of our emotions come from our thoughts. What we're believing to be true that may or may not be true, that we may be making up a story in our mind, and that's what's really causing the stress and the anxiety, fear, all of those types of emotions that really can dysregulate our system. So if you are feeling like you have some beliefs, some real things, or even relationships that are really kind of handicapping you, paralyzing you, or beliefs about yourself, I would love for you to contact me, and I would love to have some time with you over the phone, over Zoom. I prefer Zoom because I want to see you, and I want to build that relationship and communication in a safe place for someone to really just share, and for me to walk you through and to really talk about what are some things that you're thinking that might be what we call thought errors, that really may not be true, and really getting to the bottom, the root issue of some things that are really the cause of dysregulating our nervous systems. But today, what I've talked about is they work. The baths, the cold showers, the ice cold, the proprioceptive pressure are all very effective, the supplements, but the root problem is our mind, our brains, our thoughts, our limiting beliefs, all those things that I would love to help you with. So any questions, anything, I would invite any dialogue.
Oh, I love the limiting beliefs, working through that. Yeah, they can be a ceiling over our head that we get stuck and paralyzed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really good. Anyone that's live that wants to ask a quick question, feel free.
Sorry for the noise. I would love to know what like your emergency stopgap is for when you just see yourself going into the red zone, like 0 to 10. Like you gave a lot of really great strategies. Like if you had to pick like a top 1 or 2, I'm going into the red zone, I can feel myself totally spiraling. What would that be?
Girl, I love your question. I know exactly what you mean by the red zone. You know, there is power in the pause. And pause means, you know, different things for different people. Pause could mean that you absolutely need to separate from everyone if you can, you know, separate yourself, go in the room, and just let yourself be alone and think, journal. So the red zone would be take yourself out of the equation. If it's truly a red zone, before we would start yelling at our kids or lose it or drive in an unsafe way, whatever that dysregulation looks like, the cray comes out, right? That we want the red zone, take a pause, excuse yourself from the situation. And that's really that self-care, having enough respect of ourselves as we're on this, you know, honoring our journey and really our character, who we are and who we want to be. To separate yourself is the number one thing. If you're in the red zone, absolutely go to bed. If you have to, like, you know what, I know this is Christmas Eve, it's 9 o'clock, but mommy's going to bed. Whatever that looks like, take care of you so that really, again, we take care of our families. And to really admit, I'm human. Us women, you know, we think we're super moms, we're super women, we're just humans. And we honestly need to listen to our guts and honor our intuitions of saying when we're not doing well. And what are some things that come to your mind that really help you when you're in the red zone? For me, I would work out. I would go to the gym and I would work out until I'm okay. So that's me, which is a pause, right? I'm separating myself and giving myself what my family calls me time. I need some me time and crying out for me time. If you do that, other people will say, oh my goodness, I can do that too. And so we kind of start a little bit of a pattern with our families and friends, and it's having them respect you for your boundaries as well. Because a lot of times we're in the red zone, boundaries have been crossed. We're tired or things have been said, whatever that kind of thing is. But what else comes to mind? What would help you in the red zone? Anything come to mind?
It's funny that you actually said that strategy of like stepping away because my kids know this when I am like on the edge. I genuinely want to send them to timeout, but what I do is like an odd role reversal where I send myself to timeout and I say that. I'm like, guys, mommy has to go to timeout. And sometimes I shut the door and you can hear them outside the door, like talking to each other, very confused about like, is mom okay in there? Do you think she's okay? And usually it's like a very pleasant, I kind of role reversal. I kind of play with them a little bit, but I find that to be super helpful. And I think it's good to model it in the way that you're describing, right? Like you're modeling the behavior for your kids, which is, I'm not okay right now. And I don't want to say something that I don't mean and then regret it later. So I tend to put myself in timeout, which it's a good strategy. I think sometimes you just end up totally losing your cool and yelling at your kids and then feeling shame after. So I'm trying to avoid that. But I like your strategy of stepping away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I've done that because sometimes I've had to just go to the bathroom and shut the door and lock it. And if I have my phone with me, and if I know that I'm going to be for a minute, I have a couple of songs that I will play or listen to that are almost my go-to. They almost regulate me because it's either that words of affirmation speak over me, and I'm emotive. I love music. And so there's a couple songs that just like cool me down, that really remind me of something so joyful, pleasant. I feel fulfilled. I feel like my cup is filling back up. And so, um, yeah, that helps me too, is just there's a couple of my go-tos in a playlist. I just know where to go if I need to.
Yeah. So true. So good. Yep.
But I do like the exercise as well, especially because sometimes I'm giving all things to everyone else and I haven't taken care of me. And, Steve will look at me at 6 o'clock. He's like, just go into the garage and do something for 20 minutes. You are just not a joy right now. Just go in there. Because he knows I'm a little witchy right now. I have no peace, calm, serenity, kindness for anyone right now. I need to take care of me.
Mhm. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. And getting out of this superhuman, we can do all things and be all things to all people. That's just we cannot continue that for a long period of time. Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions that come to mind?
I'm excited to try the pressure points. I haven't done anything like that, or the figure eights. There's a couple of these techniques I've never done, so it would be really interesting to see how quickly I feel the calm, and just even for others on this call, as well as those that are going to hear the recording, what what we implement that we can feel and be able to apply.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, these are things that we can all do on our own. And then there's always other ones, the biofeedback that we hear about, the EMDR that we hear about. There's other things, but yet as far as like thinking of the holidays and how we can, honor our journeys and our characters and be there for our families and friends, these things, that proprioceptive pressure, taking a cold shower, forcing myself to take a cold shower, are things that really, and I would encourage you to try those. As uncomfortable as the cold shower is, it really does regulate your system. Yeah.
I love that. Well, I know that Ginger put, if you guys see in the chat, whether you're on your phone or computer, I know she has her info, especially to reach out and have like a consult, a call. And I think everyone, like a couple of you guys know how to get a hold of me as well. And so we're just here for you. And Jenny's asking if you have a website.
Yes. So Jenny, good question. My website is gingerraycoaching.com. So it's Ginger and then Raye is Raye. So gingerraycoaching.com. And on there, you can sign up for a free consultation. I even have some openings this week and sign up. And I'd love to answer any questions or take a deep dive even more into this issue of our thoughts and limiting beliefs and how that is causing the anxiety and stress. Great
Oh
question.
yeah. And then Kristen, what is the first supplement? What was the first supplement that you talked about?
Yes.
Um,
Lithium
yes.
orotate. You guys,
Yes.
I cannot even tell you how this little supplement has changed my life. I can remember I got divorced 2 years ago and going into court, before going into court, taking a few of these, and it kind of builds up and you can't, like, I can't even tell you how good it is. So you could just feel a calm come over you. It is very powerful, but very natural. So I love that. Yes,
Awesome.
lithium orotate.
Thanks, girl. Well, you guys know how to get a hold of us and get a hold of Ginger. Thanks so much for joining us. It's been a treat just to spend a little time with you and learn some amazing techniques that we can, honestly, I feel like thrive and not feel like we are sinking in the stress or the season, the things that bring on so many different emotions and all the things that we have to juggle, that we get to really take care of ourselves, so that we get to do this. It's a gift, and just the gratitude. I love that. The mindset, the thoughts behind all that, really we can recenter. So helpful, Ginger. Thank you so much.
Oh,
And
Thank you all. That was super fun.
yes. Merry